Mm, I do, and it's delicious. Let me make sure, since last week I pontificated for a good 5 minutes with no audio, let's make sure we're not doing that again. Um, okay, how about now? Let's see. That's so crazy. That's 2 weeks in a row of crazy audio, right? How about now? Let's see. You guys hear me okay now? I think for some reason, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. That one is different. Okay, so if it sounds good, I'm going to keep going. I need to switch this screen so that I see it. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for texting me and letting me know. Um, that helps. Yeah, do that anytime, by the way. So because that does pop up on my laptop here, whereas I see Riverside over here. What I was saying is that it's nice to be back in the tavern 2 weeks in a row. I will not be here next week, and I may not even do a tavern episode next week because we're going to be right in the middle of an event that night. And so yeah, let's just plan on everybody just plan on not being around next Monday night. No tavern next week. I will be on the full tank tour with Mark Meckler, and that night will be in Bozeman, Montana, and the meeting with some legislators and some activists from around the area. Going to have a great time, and I'm really looking forward to having a few days with Mark for the full tank tour. We will not, Lord willing, not run out of gas this time and end up stranded. But you meet new friends when that happens. Yeah, but let's avoid that part. So anyway, looking forward to seeing my friends the Hogaugs. Going to stay with them in Bozeman. Get to finally see their place. Man, I coached their son in baseball with my boys. Wow, 20 years ago? No, 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 no. Wait, that's too many. 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Mm. And we became fast friends and just so many similarities. And then they moved off to Montana, and I've been trying to get up there and see their beautiful place, seen pictures. But anyway, looking forward to all of that. But that means no tavern next Sunday, or next Monday. But let's get to it because this is a remarkable day. I compare it to the pardoning of the J6ers in terms of just what it feels like to me right now in terms of the magnitude of the moment and the day. But it's way beyond even the J6 pardons because of the magnitude of death and destruction that these evil Hamas people perpetrated upon their neighbors. I mean, let's face it. That's literally what the Palestinians do to the Jews. They murder their neighbors. That's essentially what happens, and they teach their children to hate their neighbors instead of love their neighbors and treat their neighbors the way they want to be treated. Which, by the way, is the difference between Islam and Christianity. Just as a side note, this is why Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. It's why it's not compatible with the U.S. Constitution. It's why this coddling of millions and millions of Muslims and inviting them into our country is a huge mistake for the future of our nation. And I wish them no ill will. I hope that they would find a political structure that is compatible with a some version of Islam that actually respects free speech and religious liberty. But I digress. This moment is about Donald Trump's ability to bring together, talk about opposites and literally warring factions. And this is what the seventh conflict that he has been able to negotiate and settle. The idea that we would not give him the Nobel Peace Prize just tells you what a joke the Nobel Peace Prize has become. But today is about the hostages and about the 20 living hostages that have been returned home. And everybody's been watching these. I hope you've been watching these videos. If you haven't watched any of these videos, get on X and just scroll. And it's incredible. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, I'm not for a minute in the joy of these hostages being returned going to forget the hell that they have been put through for the last 2 years, and the hell that their families have been put through, and all of the other hostages that were killed and tortured, and or forget the 1,200 that died on October 7th. So I'm assuming that if you're watching the Tavern, you're one of these people. Which, by the way, I forgot our opening. Welcome to the Tavern, where we have revolutionary discussions about the strategies and tactics necessary to preserve freedom and pass it intact to the next generation. And of course, it is absolutely essential in the Tavern to be honest about Islam and honest about the Hamas terrorists and the Palestinians in general, because whether it's the Palestinian Authority or Hamas or whoever ends up in control there, this stuff continues. And the only way that it's going to stop, which is where I was going with all that, I celebrate and I am so thankful that the hostages are home, but it is not even in this moment. I will not forget the evil that continues to be perpetrated. And it isn't just what happened on October 7th or the torture of the hostages that continued since then. It is the celebration of death. It is the teaching of the children to hate their neighbors and to murder their neighbors and to celebrate the murder of their neighbors. As long as that continues, then the fights will continue. The war will continue. So this is a temporary peace. I will say Donald Trump is amazing in what he's been able to accomplish here, but it is temporary, and it is not a lasting peace. The only way to have lasting peace in the region is for Israel to finish the job, wipe out Hamas, take over Gaza, take over all of that area, and make it peaceful, just like the rest of Israel is, where Arabs and Jews and Christians and anyone of any religion can live and work and enjoy freedom. But unfortunately, we've been stopped. Israel has been stopped from. We as a world have been stopped from having that happen. And I understand the geopolitical forces at play here. I understand the need to get the hostages, the ones that are alive, back. And I'm not so sure that the 5D chess here isn't to now have those live hostages home, and Hamas is not going to live up to their end of the bargain here at some point, and then Israel will be unleashed to finish the job. And my prayer and my hope is that they hunt down every single one of the terrorists that have been released as a part of this exchange, and do what they did after Munich. If you're not familiar with the 72 Olympics and the whole. Go watch the movie Munich with Eric Bana. It's pretty decent. I'm not sure that it's 100% historically accurate, of course, but it's Hollywood. But it'll at least give you an idea of what Golda Meir and Israel had to do to track down the terrorists that had murdered those Olympic athletes. And man, there is no. I don't think there's a safe space for these terrorists. Let's just put it that way. And we'll leave it there. Okay. So anyway, super excited about these hostages coming home. Super excited about President Trump just win after win after win. I'm not tired of winning, though. I don't know about you. Let's keep it going, right? And now the winning has to expand. I mean, this is a moment that President Trump should absolutely revel in. I don't know if you saw, if you're watching social media, if you're or the news at all today, this morning. For us, it was last night, but Israel had, even on the beach, they had a thank you to President Trump as he flew in. Um, no better friend to Israel in the history probably of our country than Donald J. Trump. It is true. And for those of you that wonder whether or not he should be such a good friend to Israel, listen, if you cannot tell the good guys from the bad guys with the way that Hamas treated these prisoners and the number of people that they slaughtered on October 7th versus the way that the Israel has continued to offer peace over and over and over again since becoming a nation again. So we've got, what, 66, almost 80 years of precedent where the Israelis have tried over and over and over again to lay down arms and have peace. And as Golda Meir said 50 years ago, if the Palestinians lay down their arms, there will be peace immediately. If the Israelis lay down their arms, they will be wiped out from the map completely in a day. That tells you all you need to know about the conflict and who the good guys and the bad guys are. All you need to know who the good guys and the bad guys are is watching these barbarians dance on the grave of these young Jewish women. All you need to know is the decapitation of the babies and the rape of the women. That should tell you right there. And are the Israelis perfect? Of course not. Is the Israeli government perfect? Of course not. Are Israeli soldiers perfect? Of course not. Have some of them done what you might consider to be an atrocity during the fog of war in retaliation? Of course. Americans did the same thing. Americans did the same thing in World War II. Frankly, even after World War II, there was still such a hatred of Japan and such a hatred of those who had and Germany, and a hatred of those who had committed such atrocities in World War II, that there were revenge killings and things that happened. It's human nature. Okay, so Israelis aren't going to be perfect, but look at what we did as Americans after we were attacked. I mean, if we are justified, and I believe we were, if we were justified in prosecuting World War II and killing, I forget now the total numbers that Americans killed justifiably in war, both citizens and combatants, but it was hundreds of thousands, if not, I think some estimate 1 to 2 million. The Russians obviously had killed. I mean, we teamed up with Russia and Joseph Stalin, who had already killed 3 million of his own people before we teamed up with him in World War II. So the idea that for us to support Israel, they have to be somehow perfect, the double standard, triple standard, the ridiculous standard that we put on them in order for us to be their friend is insane. This is why the Candace Owens stuff and these other people that have held Israel to a totally different standard than even the United States has never even piqued my interest in terms of what their logic is or how they got to that. I try to have civil discourse. I try to say, how do you come to this conclusion? But let's face it, folks, there is zero comparison to the people that we have teamed up in the past and supported and did far more evil and atrocities and actually became our enemies later compared to Israel. I mean, look at how many people we killed after 9/11. I mean, Pearl Harbor was only about 3,000. 9/11 was only about 3,000. And the retaliatory effect of what we had to do in prosecuting the war after that was in the hundreds of thousands in both cases. So I think if you compare, you know how many people would have had to have been killed in America for it to be even close to what happened to Israel on October 7th? 40,000. You would have to have a 9/11 that killed 40,000 Americans to be on par with in terms of per capita numbers. There's only 10 million. There's less than 10 million people in Israel. So when you kill 1,200 people on October 7th, that would be the equivalent of killing 40,000 people in America. And so what would we do? What would we do as Americans? For those of you that are questioning whether or not Israel has been justified in what it's done, what would we do? I guarantee you, we would absolutely go scorched earth. And even when you do it the way that we did it after 9/11, going door to door, how many of our Marines and others did we lose because we were willing to prosecute the war on radical Islamic terrorism in that fashion rather than just dropping a bomb on Iraq, dropping a bomb on Afghanistan and killing everybody. We went door to door and cost our own blood and treasure and everything else in order to be as humane about it as we possibly could be. And still, the retaliatory deaths were far exceeded what happened on 9/11, as they should have. And I think it ought to be known to every nation and tribe and tongue that if you attack America, we're going to do 100-fold to you what you did to us. I mean, that should just be known. And that prevents attacks, at least reduces it. And Israel has every right to say the exact same thing. You attack us, we're going to go scorched earth on you. I mean, that's how you stop the attacks eventually. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on all that. I really just wanted to celebrate the return of the hostages, but I'm so fed up with Candace Owens and the way that she is treating my friend, Pastor Rob McCoy. I am so fed up with the conspiratorial, the Israelis killed Charlie Kirk stuff. I'm fed up with the distortion of the text from Charlie that had it was not in any way saying he was no longer going to support Israel and that he was somehow going to support Hamas or that he was now for the Palestinians. It had everything to do with some strategies behind the scenes that were happening within that group with regard to resources being deployed for defending the narrative for Israel and working on that versus some other things with regard to saving civilization overall against communism and all this other stuff. And him simply saying, I'm done with these people that just because I platformed Tucker and let him still speak at AmFest, that now they're going to pull funding from us and not allow us to do our work. Anyway, that there's a whole lot more to those texts than what Candace Owens, of course, is going to explain. And just the sarcasm that she has and just the dismissive nature that she has of a pastor like Rob McCoy that is such an integral part of Turning Point and such an important part of why Charlie did not go off the rails. I've said this here in the Tavern before. The reason I didn't merge completely with Turning Point, Charlie wanted to buy Patriot Academy. He wanted Patriot Academy to basically be absorbed into Turning Point and us merge and become one organization. And the reason I didn't do that is because he was 26 or 27 at the time, and I didn't know whether. And I've told this story. I'm sorry for repeating for those of you that have heard this. I didn't know whether or not he would, stay true to the cause. I know how arrogant I became at 26 when I got in the legislature, or 27 by the time I was sworn in. I mean, it's a lot at a young age, and even if you have the Christian foundation and all of those things, most people can't handle it. I frankly didn't handle it well. I mean, I've said many times, I wish I had been 10 years older whenever I went into the legislature. I think I would have been a much more effective legislator, better statesman, and just been smarter about some of my decisions. And anyway, so that was going through my head whenever Charlie, told me that he wanted Patriot Academy, and I was just thinking, man, I couldn't handle it at your. I didn't tell him that, but that's what I was thinking, and he did. But Rob McCoy was a huge part of that. Rob mentoring him and bringing him along and coaching him. And it was Rob's church where Charlie first spoke. First church he spoke in, and the first time he really started addressing the biblical issues the way that it ended up being so good at. So I just, man, when Candace dismisses Rob, the first time she's like, acted like she didn't even believe that he was, Charlie's pastor and friend and all that. I just, man, I'm a little salty about it at this point. I'm just fed up. I mean, this whole not dancing on Charlie's grave, but doing these things and releasing these tweets and just, it's just distasteful. It's just completely distasteful. And I'm fed up with it. And combining that with the whole reason to throw your friend under the bus is because of your conspiracy stuff on Israel. I'm just getting less and less patient on the conspiracy stuff. And that's not to say there aren't conspiracies. Please hear me, okay? I'm the one that I've been saying for 4 years, the difference between a conspiracy and real life is about 6 months. I still believe that. I still think there are a lot of things that you could call conspiracy just simply because it's people conspiring, working together to do something, good or bad, right? It can be a conspiracy to do good things. But the difference is this negative, everybody's bad, Everybody has bad intentions. There are no good countries or good people. I can't stand that. I am, and you can call me too optimistic if you want, but my perspective is human nature absolutely um, causes people to grab power and to want more of that and to take advantage of people and all that. But that God has intervened with the gospel in a way that teaches us to treat our neighbors the way we want to be treated. And that has caused the more revival and the more discipleship has caused there to be more and more people that actually do want to do good, that actually do want to see peace in the Middle East and see peace in our country and want freedom, not just for themselves, but for their neighbors and for others. And I am around these people all the time. I have a staff of about 60 people who work their fingers to the bone for peanuts. None of us are making anywhere near what we'd make with the skills that we provide to Patriot Academy. You could pick any person on our team, from the person that is helping to take care of our cottages down the road and clean those. She and her team could be making way more money doing that for other people in this community. From that to the people that are mowing and landscaping right now could be making probably 3 times what they're making for us doing that very same thing for somebody down the road. So from the manual kind of stuff, making T-shirts and coffee and that sort of thing, from those people up to I could be practicing law, making 5 times what I'm making right now. Our dean of our Patriot Institute, Chris Dunham, could be making probably 5 times what he's making with us, going and working for a university or something like that. To our staff that handles our Constitution coaching and the technology, all of them are working for probably at least, I don't know anybody on my team that couldn't be making at least twice what they're making on the open market, going and doing that somewhere else. So I've got this team of 60 people that is sold out to the cause. What is the cause? The cause is exactly what Charlie died for. And Erica said it 2 days after his assassination. Patriotism, the unfathomable grace of God, sharing the gospel and discipling people in that, actually teaching them those things. So those are the things that we believe in here, so much so that we're willing to sacrifice money, time, our lives, literally putting my dad has moved to the campus at 81 years old to be able to oversee, construction stuff and clearing and things and projects like that, but just to go visit with people around the coffee shop and be an ambassador for Patriot Academy and doing it for free. I mean, these are the kinds of people that are involved in this team. And so when people are negative and act like nobody's good anymore and nobody's doing it for the right reason, and they have just this, you think they drink milk out of a churn, been weaned on a pickle, and there's a black cloud that just follows them around. I just don't have time for them. I'm just tired of it. I'm like, I grew up on Zig Ziglar. My dad always, had that optimistic, we may fail today, but we're going to win tomorrow. My mom always had that, she taught me literally the Zig Ziglar had this kids course called I Can, I-C-A-N, I can because I'm an American, right? So it's spelled within it. It was a great, she was teaching me that at like 7 years old, 8 years old. So I love people that are going to stay in the fight no matter. Now, that doesn't mean we're Pollyanna. It doesn't mean we just wave the flag and we're naive about it. We have to be realistic and see the field and know what we're up against. That's why we're always repeating Proverbs 27:12. A wise person foresees danger and takes precaution. A simpleton or fool walks blindly on and suffers the consequences. But it doesn't mean that you're constantly so paranoid and constantly so negative about what's going on that you have no joy and nobody wants to be around you, and that everybody's a nefarious player, and that everything that happens because of some evil plot of whoever. So I just urge everyone out there within the sound of my voice, take Ronald Reagan's advice. Be a happy warrior out to take back a country and a world to freedom. And don't call everything conspiracy that other people call conspiracy. And recognize that there are good people still in the fight. And frankly, there are people that do bad things that are in the fight for good reasons and that we can team up with and still accomplish good things. Be careful how you take that statement. What I'm saying is the extreme of World War II that I talked about. For FDR and Winston Churchill to team up with Joseph Stalin, one of the most evil men to ever exist, certainly to ever be in charge of a country. I think it was, I said 3 million earlier. I think it was 3 million of his own that he killed before we teamed up with him in World War II. Some estimate as many as 10. And then, of course, millions and millions of more after that. And just a complete evil, not only actual murder of people, but just the starving of people and the horrible, horrible government controls. We teamed up with that guy, okay, in order to defeat someone that was more evil. So that's a way out there extreme. Today, we have to recognize that sometimes we have to team up with a politician that that might be in Congress or in our local government that isn't with us on even something as evil as abortion. They may be pro-abortion, but they're with us on a bunch of other issues. On those issues, we're going to team up with them. We're not going to say, because you're pro-abortion, I will never do anything with you. That would be foolish, right? Because they're in a position of authority and have power, and we need to team up with them on something. Or let's say it's someone on our side, on the Republican side of things, that's with us on 90% of the issues, and they're not with us on one issue. And we still team up with them on the 90% of those issues. And I see Israel the exact same way. I'm not even addressing the biblical requirements to support the children of Israel, whether that's the state of Israel made up of the children of Israel or the children of Israel in our own neighborhood, in our communities. I'm talking about just geopolitical facts of life, that this is a nation that is similar to us in terms of a love of freedom and a constitutional republic and a free market economy. And those are good reasons to support them. And then their intelligence services are even better than ours, and they help us. And do they do nefarious things? Probably. Yep. I would bet so. Do they take out people that are a threat to them? Yep. Hope they do. I genuinely hope that they do. Are there civilian casualties when they do that? Sometimes. Yep. Just like when we do it. And so even with all of that, I say they are our best friend in the region. We should support them. It doesn't mean that we never question them. It doesn't mean we write them a blank check, but it means we do what it takes to have a day like today. It means we have a president that stands with them, to so much so that it forces the other entities in the region to join us in supporting them, at least publicly, and at least in terms of putting pressure on Hamas and the other bad players in the region, to the point that you get a day like today. Today does not happen. You do not free these 20 hostages. You do not bring at least a ceasefire and a peace deal that may last, we'll see how long. You do not make that happen without a Donald J. Trump and a Marco Rubio that are willing to say, behind the scenes and even publicly sometimes, to some of these other players like Qatar and some of these other nations, we are standing with Israel, period. And you can say whatever you want about whatever they did over here and over there. We got their back. And you're going to capitulate, like it or not. You will join us in putting the pressure on and getting these hostages back. That's the only way it works, folks. That's the only way you win in these kind of fights. And Donald Trump understands that. He learned that in the first term. And he has executed this brilliantly up until the very end. I would say I would have kept pushing and until they wiped him out completely. And I would have stuck with his original vision of Israel taking over the whole area and turning it into an amazing resort place that the Palestinians would thrive in and all have jobs and have a good education system. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think there will be less territory for the terrorists to be able to regroup. And don't be surprised if they do something stupid and it gives Israel what they need to go ahead and go in and finish the job. Okay, I've ranted long enough. That was the main topic of the day. Let's head over here to the chat, see what everybody has to say, and what questions you might have for me. Yes, we do. Patriot Academy does have shirts for sale. They are not on our website yet, I don't think, but we just got our printing operation up. We're actually going to be making the shirts in-house, and we're going to have nice swag like this with the collar and the embroidery, hats, all that kind of stuff, and then tons of T-shirt options as well. So keep watching the website. Make sure you're on our email list, and we're getting really close to having that operation up and running. Yeah, truth, boldness, and strength. Amen. How can the likes of Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with Tucker Carlson, overlook the horrific act on Israel and still say that Israel's bad guy? Alex, I don't know. I can't get there with them. I mean, I try to understand. I'll tell you what I think it is. Actually, I didn't come up with this. A friend of mine told me this last week over dinner. We were having the same discussion, and he said there's just a lot of people in media and certainly on the conservative side and definitely on the social media stuff. They've gotten to where they are by getting the clicks. They've gotten to where they are by having an interesting take on things and being able to articulate it well. And then they get big, and then they get into a situation where it's so obvious who the good guys and bad guys are. It's like we're totally initially after October 7th, everybody understood Hamas is evil, like pure evil. Israel they're the good guys here, and they've been attacked and they have a right to respond. And they see that, and they see everybody coming to Israel's side, and they go, well, my take's no different than everybody else's. I need to be unique. I got to be different. I got to have a unique take that everybody goes, wow. And so I got to, and that's what becomes their shtick. I mean, you see it with this Stu Peters guy and his ridiculous take on Charlie Kirk's assassination. And he makes these videos and he claims that the microphone is what shot Charlie Kirk and the Israelis did it. And it was this, and he makes these videos and they go super viral because they're different and it's a unique take and everybody's click, click, click. And that's these, look, free speech, you know, they get to do their shtick, but it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And we've got to become spiritually and politically and culturally cunning and smarter and not so naive that we fall for this stuff. And then we get caught up in it. And then we spend all our time debating whether or not the microphone was the gun instead of recognizing that our friend has been assassinated. It has created this massive movement, and we have an opportunity to bring people to truth, and we have an opportunity for people are listening like never before. And yet we're over here bickering about these crazy ideas, and it's because of the Candace Owens types that use their platforms to have a unique take and act like they're the only ones that can see it, and they're just asking questions, and they're just investigating, and it's all a bunch of BS. They just want their platform to be bigger and unique, and they want to feel special and important. Sorry, that's my take. Okay. Yeah, well, there you go. I didn't realize that. So Candace apparently addressed this whole, people that are edgy deserve pay from the clicks, and she's proud of people that can make a living from clicks. Look, I don't have a problem with people monetizing. I mean, I am not one of these people that says you shouldn't get paid to be a commentator or a teacher or an educator. There are some people out there, I'm not going to name names, but let's just say they are so full of themselves and so self-righteous that they actually criticize me and David Barton and others that do this full time and actually get paid to do it. Now we get paid peanuts, like nothing compared to what we can make doing other things. But they actually hold it against us, and they criticize us for it because we're getting paid to go teach and educate and put out content. So I have no problem with people that do the same thing by getting clicks. In other words, they're like, that's just not our method. I mean, we would gladly do that, but our method is that we raise money from donors who appreciate what we do and want us to go educate more people on the Constitution and teach these young people how to be ready to answer and to be Charlie Kirks. So we raise money from donors, and then sometimes we charge for programs. Most of our programs are free, but sometimes we have to charge in order to make it work. And so that's really our revenue source. We don't do much of the advertising on social media and get revenue that way. But for people that have built their platforms that way, praise God, man, go for it. If that's the way you've created a platform and you're saying things that bring value that people actually are willing to pay to be able to learn, and so they subscribe, I think that's fantastic. I love the fact that technology has given us that ability. I mean, I got friends that have hundreds of thousands, some of them millions of followers as a result of building up that kind of platform. And I say go for it. I think that's great. What I'm criticizing is that you get so hooked on the clicks and you get so hooked on that money, making you, giving you the platform, that you actually start giving into the sensationalism and the stuff that you probably criticized when you first started. And now you do it, or you become really honestly dishonest about a lot of the coverage that you're doing. So that's where I have a big problem with it. Officer Tatum said that some of the people pushing the wild ideas could be doing a disservice because it could give cut off on me there. I didn't see the rest of your comment, but I love Brandon. I think he's brilliant and does a great job, and I think he's right that pushing these wild ideas is dangerous and does give problems. I don't know what the rest of the comment was, but yeah, it could be bad. Let's see. Your people at Patriot Academy are greatly blessed by the Lord for putting him and his people ahead of money they could make elsewhere doing the same thing. Amen. You know what? And y'all pray for our team because I wear people out because I go, man, 100 miles an hour. I'm just in this sense of urgency phase and have been for 10 years, but certainly for the last 3 years. And so it's tough on our team because I don't slow down. And I should give people more of a break. And so, anyway, we run them hard, and they love what they're doing. And so, when you love what you do, you can put in more time and energy and work. And so, yeah, pray for our team to gel well and not get burned out all the time. Huge fan of Patriot Academy. Started homeschool with my 11-year-old on October 20th, using Chasing American Legends for his American history. Way to go, Sarah. Congratulations. I'm glad you're doing that. You will never regret choosing homeschooling. I'm telling you, the memories you're going to make with your son, the time you're going to get that you wouldn't get even at a private school, but certainly in a public school. Thank you, Sarah, for homeschooling. I used to tell people all the time when I'd speak at homeschool conventions, thank you for investing in your son and in your kids. My mom, when she homeschooled me, people would say, what a sacrifice. And she always stopped them. I learned that from her because she stopped them and would say, nope, not a sacrifice. It's an investment. And so thank you. Anyway, Sarah, God bless you. That's a great choice. Let's see. Glennis, I have not paid enough attention to Candace to answer this question. Is Candace into some replacement theory? I think that is definitely at the heart of a lot of the anti-Israel sentiment out there. That there's this huge percentage of the church that thinks that we've replaced Israel and that somehow that being grafted in means we've completely replaced them. And I get the part about some branches being cut off, but it doesn't say the whole thing is cut off. So anyway, yeah, I've never bought into this whole replacement theory thing, and I think that is what leads to a lot of the anti-Israel thing. Yeah. Oh man, Teresa, Christians need to pray for discernment to recognize truth. You know what? I honestly, we ought to just make that part of it. Like, let's encourage everybody to add that to our daily prayers. God, give me discernment. We all need it, right? Because there's so many things coming at us right now. And there's so much, the technology and the AI and everything else, it's going to get harder and harder to know what's real and what's true. And so, yeah, man, let's add that whole discernment thing to our daily prayers for ourselves. And y'all pray for us to have discernment of who to partner with and things to do. Pray for the Turning Point team because everybody's trying to hitch their wagon to Turning Point now. And there's a lot of grifters out there and a lot of crazy stuff. So y'all pray for them to have discernment as well. So important. Really good. Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. Satan's using this as a distraction so that we will, fight within instead of using the opportunity to full advantage. I absolutely agree with that statement. Oh, Gina, thank you so much. I forgot it's Columbus Day. I got so caught up in the hostages being released. If you haven't listened to our Wall Builders program for today, Bill Federer is our guest on Wall Builders. So go to wallbuilders.show, and we have a fantastic – those of you that watch often, Bill's a friend of mine and one of my mentors. I love Bill. And when you turn Bill on, like when you wind him up and go, I think I asked him one question in this interview. And for 20 minutes, he gives us the history on Columbus. It is so good. It's so good. Go over to wallbuilders.show. And the whole show today is about Columbus Day. And I completely forgot. You're right. Happy Columbus Day. And thank you, Donald Trump, for signing that executive order so that we can call it Columbus Day and make sure that everybody else does the same. Jenny, tell me, I may have missed what you were saying Liam was learning from Charlie and Patriot Academy, but great to see you on here and great seeing you a couple of weeks ago, man. We didn't get any real time, but thank you. Let's see. Yeah, Christopher, other than Washington and Lincoln, Trump is the best president, God chosen. I got to say, it's time for me to move Trump up another notch. I had moved him from fifth. I had him at fifth in his first term. After his first term, he accomplished more in 4 years than most people do in 8. I definitely keep Washington number one, indispensable man. Whole nation, doesn't happen without him. Lincoln, number 2, most difficult time in American history, and kept the country together. And they're obviously his detractors, especially in the South. But Lincoln, second best president in American history. I've always had Coolidge as number 3 because he was so good on the Constitution, and he's an unsung hero. And then I had Reagan at 4, and then Trump at 5. And after Trump's first term, I moved him in front of Reagan, despite the fact that I got a kid named Reagan and another one born on his birthday. Did a documentary about Reagan 20 years ago, had a dog named Dutch. I'm a Reagan guy, okay? But Trump absolutely surpassed even Reagan. Ronaldus Magnimus, as Rush Limbaugh used to say. So, yeah, he was definitely number 4 on my list. But to your point, I think it's time for me to move him ahead of Coolidge. I think today, I think what he's done in just this first 10 months, not even first year, hasn't even been a year, folks. We've had 10 months, not even 10 months. It hasn't even been a full 10 months. It's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. So, yeah, I think I don't want to do that just based on gut reaction to today. But it's time. It's time. Yep. Number 3. I'm with you, bro. I'm going to do it. We're moving him up. Oh, it was about learning to find common ground without having to agree 100% with those on the other side or who may not hold the same values as we do. Ginny, is so important. It's so important. It's the only way. Well, it's what Patrick Henry said. It's the only way we arrive at the truth even. If you can't have the conversation with the people on the other side, you won't find the holes in your own logic or your own position. So, yeah, I think it's so important. I'm so glad Liam's leaning into that right now because it's a skill even. I was trying to think of how to say it. It's not just even a philosophy that a respect for the other person. There's a skill that we need to go back to teaching. And that's what we do at Patriot Academy. But I mean this as parents and as an education system in general, just the skill of listening, the skill of asking good questions and then listening to what the other person says, so that number 1, you can figure out if you've got something wrong. Maybe they're going to sharpen you a little bit, but also so that you can figure out how they got to the wrong conclusion. If they're on the opposition, you assume they're wrong. We assume we're right, but we do want to know if we're wrong. So we want to have the conversation to correct ourselves. But if they are wrong, you've got to figure out what got them there. Like what's the path and the logic or lack of logic that got them to the wrong conclusion, and then what are the questions you can ask? I'll tell you what, Jenny, if you haven't watched it, you've probably seen some of it on social media. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but Allie Beth Stuckey's Jubilee episode that just dropped yesterday, some of the clips were starting the day before. It's a master class in doing exactly what I just said. It's asking questions. It's stating your position. It's giving them a chance to show if you're wrong, and then sharpening from that. And it's on some tough issues that most Christians are afraid to talk about. I mean, she hits it all: abortion, marriage, the whole thing. It is brilliant. Allie Beth is one of the most effective civil discourse practitioners of our day. She's, might get some hate mail on this, she's as good as Charlie was, and has a sweeter disposition. So watch out for Allie Beth, I'm telling you, and pray for her because she's so effective. And I think this Jubilee thing, if you're not familiar with Jubilee, it's this thing where, a conservative sits in a circle of 20 liberals and they get to one by one come take them on. And you've raised flags to kick them off and take another one and all this kind of stuff. And then, or it's a liberal with 20 conservatives. I think they do it that way. I haven't seen one of those, but I think they do that. So, Shapiro's done it. Jordan Peterson did it. I mean, a lot of people have done it, and it gets millions and millions of views. It's a really cool take that they created. But Allie Beth just did it, and I've known Allie Beth for quite some time. Really, when she started her program, her dad was a state rep. We didn't get to serve together, but he came in pretty quick after I went out, and he actually went through our Constitution class. And one of his good friends is on my board, and so that's how we met initially. And then when Allie Beth started blowing up, I asked him to get her to Patriot Academy. So she's been to Patriot Academy twice to teach, and I love her. I love her, and she had such a great impact on my daughter as my daughter was coming through some of those tough years and dealing with all this kind of stuff and trying to get better at it. So anyway, Jenny, check that out and make sure that your kids watch that, and everybody else, same thing. It is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Okay. just got off our American Campfire Revival class. I'm glad you're doing that, Ryan. I love it. And another coach just signed up. Love being a coach. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for staying the course and not burning out like I tend to burn out a lot of people. You're a rock star. Okay. I know I missed some of y'all early on, so I'm scrolling way back up. Oh, Colleen, thank you for posting the tour. So Mark and I, yes, we'll be in Montana and Wyoming on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Oh, really? Yeah. You know, that furniture shirt, I was just wearing it the other day from our Mark Adams event. I think we need to make more of those. And actually, we should come up with some cool stuff to sell on the website. So I'll have to think about that. Yeah, Jeremy, she is, man. She's, yes. So you're just discovering her today. I hope millions of people are discovering Allie Beth this week. I hope her platform absolutely explodes. She's like she's the antithesis of Candace Owens. I mean, to be blunt, she's very much she's much sweeter in her disposition and her delivery. She's solid biblically. Like, she's not going to be thrown off by a lot of these crazy conspiracy theories, but she's not going to be afraid to question, and she's not going to be afraid to challenge. And she's got a gift, man. She's so good. I wish she was one of my graduates. I tell you what, I'd love to be able to claim her as one of mine. But thrilled to know her, and I got to get her back to Patriot Academy. She's going to be hard to get after all this. Okay. Man, Jermaine, I hope you're wrong. You said, I honestly believe that Gaza will be repatriated back to Hamas. It's Israel's land and should be completely in control by them. Peace will be short-lived. Just my feeling. I agree with you. I mean, that's my take too. I totally agree with you. And I think it should 100% be under the government of Israel. And the Palestinians would be better off. I don't want to repeat myself, but I mean, that's the only way they're going to live in peace as well. Oh, Barbara, I love it. I love it. Your mom taught you about Zig Ziglar too. That's great. Man, I missed some good comments here. I gotta make sure I don't miss all these. Yeah, the fruit in her tree is very sour. I quit watching her several months ago. She has been off the rails for sure. Yeah, I think, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But that's honestly, you remember when she first came on the scene, and she and Charlie were doing a lot of stuff together, and I'm trying to think of how to say this. What's happening to Candace right now is exactly what I was afraid would happen to Charlie. And that was why I wasn't willing to merge Patriot Academy and Turning Point at the time. And the difference, I mean, look, folks, this is a good lesson for all of us. Actually, this might make a good talk at Patriot Academy. My brain's going 100 miles an hour right now. The difference was who they surrounded themselves with. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's also the difference. Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, went off the rails. And it was because he didn't think he needed any advice from anybody. My first term in the legislature, I did some stupid stuff, just some stupid votes. I got very libertarian and also some dumb business deals that I didn't do anything wrong, but it just gave the other side some fodder to go against me in the next campaign and that kind of stuff. Anyway, but bottom line is I didn't have the discernment factor, and I was young, man. I was 27. So I put together, after my first term, my Wise Old Men group. And it was these 5 guys. It was my dad and 4 men that I greatly respected. And 2 of those men are still on my board. One of them has passed away since. But phenomenal, wise men with a lot of great experience in life. And they became my Wise Old Men. I went to them for advice. They had the permission to correct me and to say, Rick, you need to do this different, or I think you're making a mistake here, or whatever. Charlie had that. Charlie had that with Charlie with Rob McCoy and Jack Hibbs and these other people in his life. He was willing to listen to me and other people. I don't know if Candace has any of that, and that's that. Maybe she did, and maybe she just didn't listen. I don't know, but you notice her and Charlie definitely diverted, and I think Charlie picked up on where a lot of this was going, and so yeah, fruit of that tree is sour. I think you're exactly right, and man, I'm just so thankful that Charlie didn't make those same mistakes. Yeah, Rose, you're spot on. You're the sum total of the 5 people you surround yourself around. Always got to check their fruit. That's such a great point too, man. That's why I love this format where I can hear from you guys and we can feed off of each other, because that was something that I learned from Zig and Tony and some other people. But look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. What's the average of their salary? That's probably going to be yours. What's their fruit look like? That's what your fruit's going to end up looking like. And we need to be wise about who we spend our time with. We need to be wise about who is influencing our kids. That's just good stuff. You're right on. What is I'm sorry, Jim, what is TCN? I don't know what that is. Is that the Candace Network? I don't know what that stands for. I know because I know she burned her bridges with Charlie. She burned her bridges at Daily Wire. She just kept, wherever she went, it became a diva situation, at least from what I saw publicly. I know a lot of those people behind the scenes, but I never asked about that, and I never did the gossip thing, so I don't know what the reasons were, but obviously there were some major problems. So I don't know what TCN is. Maybe that is the Candace Network. But Jim said, I left TCN a couple of months ago and just gave up on Candace. She's so angry. That is a big part of it, right? We have to be careful not to do that, because in the conservative movement, we're obviously angry about our culture being destroyed. So there's a time to be righteously angry, but the Bible says be angry and sin not. I try to do that. Sometimes I get angry and I sin. But when it comes to the stuff we do as commentators and as Constitution coaches, as teachers, as mentors, if you're angry all the time, you have no joy. You're not doing biblically. You're not counting it all joy when you experience various trials. You're certainly not doing Colossians 3:23. Everything we do the best that we can as unto God, not unto men. Because if you're doing that, you're going to do it joyfully. You cannot influence the people around you and the culture the best that you can as unto God, not unto men, if you're angry all the time. In order to communicate, in order to effectively influence the world around you, you have to be full of joy. And that's why Ronald Reagan was so effective. That's why Donald Trump, when he laughs off the opposition and it rolls off his back and he channels the anger and he says the thing, it's brilliant. He does it right. So, yeah, I think, I didn't know that. It's the Tucker Carlson Network. She's on I didn't even know that. She's on the Tucker Carlson Network. That's her outlet. No wonder they're 2 peas in a pod. Well, shows my ignorance. Thank y'all for, iron sharpening iron right here. I love it. Yeah, Flashpoint Army. So that's why Flashpoint is so popular, which starts in 5 minutes, by the way. I'm not on tonight because I originally had an event, and so I told them I couldn't do tonight, and my event got moved to next Thursday night. By the way, if you're local, it's going to be a town hall meeting about Constitution City and some of the other things that are happening. Our commissioner here, who's fantastic, Chad Carpenter, is a great commissioner. He's hosting a town hall, and it was going to be tonight, and I wanted to make sure I was there to answer questions about Constitution City. And then we had to move it to the 23rd. So anyway, I am not on Flashpoint tonight. I'll be on tomorrow night. But to your point, Carrie, that's why Flashpoint Army is so popular, because it does have the joy factor. Man, we hit the hard issues, right? We are not afraid. You've seen some of my commentary and Lance Wallnau's commentary. I mean, Hank, everybody, we hit the hard issues, and sometimes we bring the heat. But then we're smiling 2 minutes later, right? And we're bringing the joy because it's Holy Spirit led, and it is literally counting it all joy when we experience various trials. I think that means you have to find your joy and know that these tough times are being used by God to make you better, stronger, more effective, more perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And without that, man, if you're just mad all the time, nobody wants to be around you. Okay. Thank you, Flashpoint Army. God bless y'all. Thank you for being a part of that as well. I'm gonna sign off so you can jump over and watch Flashpoint. Again, I won't be on tonight, but I'm sure they got a great lineup, and I'm sure it's gonna be a lot about the hostages being released, and you'll get to see some of those clips. So, strongly encourage you to go over there and watch that. Allie Beth is so good at practically teaching biblical truths. That's it right there. That sums it up. That is what made Charlie effective. That is what we are training at Patriot Academy for people to do. And 100%, that is what makes Allie Beth so effective. I lost that comment, so I can't. I was gonna. Who was it that made that great comment? Anyway, yeah. Lost. That's not a name on there anyway. Anyway, God bless y'all. Have a great night. If you want to see more Allie Beth Stuckey's, Charlie Kirk's, Juan Siscomani's, Elias Coop Gonzalez's, all those people out there that are done, that kind of skill of being ready to answer, doing it with all boldness, making sure that we are doing everything the best we can as unto God, not unto men, and doing it with joy. If you want to see more of that, Help us at Patriot Academy. Become a coach and spread the news. Take our materials and train people in your community to do that. Donate to us. Become a 1776er and make it possible for us to build out the campus, to train people across the country, to bring in these young people. Sponsor one of these kids right now that wants to be a Charlie Kirk. I've got more kids that want to be here than I have scholarships, and that's 15 grand for a scholarship. We doubled in our size for the Patriot Institute. I got a great group of kids here on campus right now that are here for the year that we're teaching these things to, and I would love to add 100 more in January. I could do that if I had the scholarship money. So think about doing one of those scholarships. And if you've got the ability, sponsor one of the student cottages, because that's the other thing I got to get done by the end of the year as well. So anyway, all right, enough of that. It's 7 o'clock. Go watch Flashpoint. God bless you. Have a great night. Make sure you get you some Patriot Brew. I'll see you here in the Tavern in 2 weeks. Don't forget, next week, no Tavern. I'll see you in 2 weeks. God bless.